Welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me today. We're going to be talking about something incredibly close to our hearts here at Next Level Speech and Physiotherapy Center, located right in the vibrant heart of JBR, Dubai. Today, we're exploring the complex, fascinating, and honestly deeply rewarding world of pediatric speech therapy for children with cerebral palsy. Whether you're a parent, a caregiver, or an educator, this explainer is designed to give you a clear, structured look into our clinical philosophy and the therapeutic methods we use every single day. We take a warm, expert, and entirely child-centered approach simply because we know that no two children are exactly the same. Okay, let's dive right into this and unlock what communication truly means for your child.
Our absolute core clinical philosophy really boils down to this. Communication and speech are not the same thing. Over more than 11 years of hands-on experience, supporting over 7,000 children and their families, this is the single most important truth we've learned to share. A child who cannot physically produce clear spoken words still has a massive, rich inner world. They've got complex thoughts, brilliant sense of humor, urgent needs, and trust me, very strong opinions. At Next Level, our primary job isn't just to work on speech, it's to ensure your child has a reliable way to say exactly what they want to say, however they need to say it.
So moving on to Section 1, the reality of CP and speech, understanding the motor connection.
Cerebral palsy is at its root a motor condition. The very same motor control difficulties that affect how a child walks or uses their hands, well, they also deeply affect the muscles used for speaking, eating, and even breathing. Think about it. The lips, the tongue, the jaw, the soft palate, these all require incredibly fine motor coordination. And this brings us to a condition called dysarthria. This is the most common speech presentation we see right here in our JBR clinic. It refers to speech might sound slurred, slow, or highly effortful. But here's the absolutely crucial point. The specific pattern of dysarthria completely depends on which muscle groups are most affected. Some of the kids we work with are easily understood by their parents, but really struggle with strangers, while others find just a single word of verbal speech incredibly exhausting.
And this brilliantly illustrates a vital distinction we make in every single assessment. On one hand, we have speech, which is the pure physical motor production of sound. On the other, we have language, the cognitive capacity to actually comprehend what's being said and to mentally formulate thoughts to express back. Some children with cerebral palsy have absolutely typical language development, meaning they understand everything perfectly, but their motor speech difficulties kind of trap those words inside. Others might have broader language needs alongside those motor challenges. Distinguishing between these two concepts literally shapes our entire therapy approach for your child.
Which leads us nicely to Section 2, communication is beyond speech, giving every child a voice. Let's look at how we bridge that gap.
This is exactly where AAC comes into play. So AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. When we see a child in our clinic, we're looking at a vast toolkit. For some, AAC might be a straightforward low-tech communication board, super simple. For others, it might be a highly advanced speech-generating device or even a sophisticated eye gaze system. But the real magic happens when we tailor these tools exactly to your child's specific motor abilities. Remember though, a tool is totally useless if it's only used inside our therapy rooms, right? We work tirelessly with families to ensure these systems become a functional, reliable, and entirely integrated part of your child's everyday daily life.
So, you might be wondering, when should you actually reach out to our team? Let's move to Section 3, when to seek assessment. Knowing the signs.
In our clinical experience, early and regular assessments are absolute game changers. If you notice your child's speech is actually becoming harder to understand over time rather than improving, that's a clear prompt to call us. Pay really close attention to mealtimes, too. Coughing, choking, or swallowing difficulties are very often the earliest signs of oral-motor challenges. Are they showing immense frustration or behavioral changes because they know what they want but just can't say it? Have there been sudden changes after a big growth spurt or an illness? Or maybe they're starting at a mainstream school in Dubai and finding their current communication strategies just aren't holding up. These are all highly practical, real-world signs that an urgent or additional assessment with our team is needed.
Okay, so once you come through our doors, what happens next? Here's Section 4, our tailored therapy approach, treating the whole child.
What we consistently find with the families we support is that rigid, cookie-cutter assessment protocols simply do not work for children with physical limitations. Instead, our clinical playbook is entirely flexible. Step 1 is our in-clinic specific therapy. Here we might work on breath support, voice quality, or building competence with a new AEC device. But Step 2 is where the real growth happens, and that's home integration. Listen, you, the parents, you are the true experts on your child. We make sure you leave every single session with something practical to do at home. And step 3 is school environment support. We actively liaise with teachers and learning support staff right across Dubai's inclusive schools to ensure your child's communication tools are understood and fully supported in the classroom.
Speech therapy for cerebral palsy isn't a quick fix, which brings us to Section 5, building a long-term partnership, navigating the journey together.
Let's address some of the most common fears and questions parents bring into our JBR clinic. This is a big one. Is my child too young for AAC? It's such a natural worry. Parents often fear that giving a child a device will make them, lazy and stop them from trying to use their natural voice.
Well, the answer is a resounding no. There is absolutely no minimum age. In fact, all the clinical evidence and literally everything we've seen at Next Level over the years shows the exact opposite. Introducing a reliable way to communicate early on drastically reduces a child's frustration, and beautifully, it actually supports and encourages natural speech development rather than hindering it. If your child needs a way to communicate right now, waiting simply does not serve them.
Here's another question we hear all the time. My child's speech was getting so much clearer, and then suddenly it got worse. Should we be panicking? First of all, it is incredibly validating for parents to know that regressions absolutely can and do happen.
There are several really common culprits for this. A simple growth spurt can temporarily throw off a child's very delicate motor control. An illness, deep fatigue, or honestly any change in their overall physical status can make speech suddenly feel much more effortful. While these regressions are often temporary, our clinical advice is always this. Please don't just assume it will pass. Bring them in. Let our team assess the situation alongside their physiotherapists and medical teams just to be absolutely sure we're adjusting our support correctly.
Now, as children grow, parents naturally start worrying about academics. They ask, can children with cerebral palsy learn to read and write if they have severe speech difficulties?
The answer is a resounding yes. Speech difficulties do not prevent literacy development. In our work, we view literacy as a vital, long-term goal. Think about it like this. A child who can read and write has unlocked an incredibly powerful, lifelong alternative tool for expressing themselves. We regularly coordinate with school inclusion teams across Dubai to help adapt exactly how reading and writing are taught, ensuring your child's physical limitations don't ever block their academic and expressive potential.
Now, you might be watching this explainer while waiting for your very first session with us, wondering, what can I do at home right this second?
Well, here is your immediate action plan. First, respond warmly to every single attempt they make to communicate, even if it's completely unclear. Second, give them time. It takes immense motor planning to produce a sound, so do not rush them and try your absolute hardest not to finish their sentences for them. Third, accept all forms of communication. A gesture, a vocalization, a point, it all counts. And finally, radically reduce the pressure to speak clearly. Build a strong foundation of acceptance and patience at home. Once you're in our clinic, we're going to give you the specific clinical strategies to build upon that beautiful, patient foundation.
I want to end our explainer today with this really powerful question. When given the right tools, what will your child finally be able to tell you? Just imagine unlocking their sense of humor, their specific requests, their I love yous. Independent communication is a highly realistic goal, and there are very few children for whom meaningful progress isn't achievable. We do not take the trust families place in us lightly. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you're ready to start this incredible developmental journey, the whole team at Next Level Speech and Physiotherapy Center is here, and we literally cannot wait to meet you and your child.